It's been a snowy few weeks here in Connecticut, and for some kids, that means jammies inside out, spoons under pillows, wishful thinking, and a lot of asking mom and dad one question: is it a snow day? This is Where We Live from Connecticut Public Radio. I'm Anya Pinello, in for Catherine Chen. This hour, we're celebrating the magical snow day when the hot cocoa is warm, the ground is glittering white, and the schools are closed. But first, we want to take a look at the past, present, and future of snowfall in Connecticut. Stephen Young is a professor emeritus at Salem State University. Stephen, welcome to Where We Live.
Well, thank you, Anya. I'm glad to be here.
Before we talk about your research, I know that you love winter. Tell me what your favorite part of winter is.
Oh my gosh. February has always been my favorite month. Still is, although May is creeping up there. But since this last snowfall, after finishing my shoveling duties, I have been cross-country skiing, also have been snowshoeing. We got about 23 inches up here from that storm.
Wow.
And what's really nice is there's a lot of green space not far from my house that allows me to do that. So, yeah,
That's so nice.
that's what I've been up to.
So your research details how New England is one of the fastest warming areas outside the Arctic. Before we get into why that is, let's talk about what that looks like. What does this mean for snowfall here in Connecticut?
So, what's happening as we get warmer and warmer, each year doesn't necessarily get warmer than the one prior, but in aggregate, we're warming up. And what I've seen, I use satellites to study the Earth. And so based on satellite data since the year 2000, Connecticut has had 30 fewer days with snow on the ground than we had 25 years ago. And so the warming that's happening is southern New England is losing its snow cover quite quickly. Northern New England much slower, but it is also losing its snow cover. And when I say snow cover, I mean, is there snow on the ground or not? It could be 2 inches or 20 inches. And reason why I'm concerned about that is because when there's snow on the ground, sunlight that strikes it bounces back to space and doesn't leave its heat here. But when there's no snow on the ground, that sunlight strikes the earth and that energy gets absorbed and heats the earth. And that's another reason why our winters are warming faster than any other season, is because as that snow cover disappears, the sunlight doesn't reflect and gets absorbed by the land. At the same time, let me say, things. If you look at a graph, it seems to bounce up and down because we still get these very cold years, and we still get these snowy years. So while in the aggregate, Connecticut is losing snow cover, there are years that come, and they will come again in the future, where we get a cold punch and we get lots of snow.
So you say this trend has accelerated a lot in the past 5 years. What does that speeding up look like exactly?
Yeah, I was quite surprised. But the way that climate change is happening around the world, different places are experiencing different rates of change. And what's happening in New England is Long Island Sound and the ocean off of Maine and Massachusetts are warming faster than 99% of other marine areas. And that heat is pushing into New England, and it's actually accelerating the warming throughout New England.
So we've talked about what a decrease in snow cover looks like. Let's talk about the why part of this. Why are states in New England, like Connecticut, seeing this decrease so much faster than other areas?
It's because our winters are warming so much. And as I just mentioned, it's that warming of the ocean off of New England. Also, there's an airflow, the North Atlantic Oscillation it's called, and it's in a current situation where a lot of airflow is from the ocean to the land, and so it's blowing that warm energy from the ocean onto the land. Over 90% of the heat that the Earth is gaining through the greenhouse effect is being stored in the oceans. And so areas near the oceans are experiencing this extra heat. And so that's a big reason why it's New England as opposed to Iowa or Kansas in the middle of the country.
Mm. And do you expect this decrease in snow cover to continue into the future?
Unless there's some either physics is not correct or there's some huge change in human behavior because we keep I think I mentioned earlier we've got this greenhouse effect and we keep like adding another glass of to the greenhouse, making it warmer and warmer. Last year, humans put more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than ever before. So there's no sign that we're going to decrease the greenhouse effect. And with that increasing warming, uh, it's a clear pattern. Snow cover has been decreasing through New England for 40, 50 years, and it's been accelerating over the past 25 years. So it's a good indication that it's going to continue to happen for sure.
So, to put a finer point on this, anecdotally, for people who grew up in Connecticut, there is this feeling that there is less snow than there used to be. And that is what your research is finding, except for these occasional big storms like the one we've had recently. How do you kind of square those two things?
So as our world warms, two odd things are happening. Well, one is warming and snow is disappearing, but another thing that's happening is we're getting more extreme weather. Right? Tallahassee the other day had 19 degrees. That is very rare. And what's happened is there's more instability in our world. And there's a lot of instability in what we call the polar vortex. It's really cold air up in the Arctic. And normally that's fairly stable, but it has become more unstable. And this cold air is it's like a fence has been ripped open and the cattle have run out of the pen. And this cold air is moved to areas where it normally doesn't go. Meanwhile, Greenland, the Arctic has had a very warm, mild winter, while that cold air has left the Arctic and come down in our part of the world. So we are seeing more extremes happening. However, the trend is towards a warmer world.
You've also written about the impacts of these changes. Let's go through them, starting with health concerns.
Yeah, so big health concerns are, especially in the summertime, when we have these extreme heat conditions, and the minimum temperatures are rising faster than all the other temperatures. And so what's starting to happen in the summertime is we're not cooling off at night. And also, it is a warmer atmosphere can hold more moisture, so we have more humid conditions, and people that are susceptible already for health issues. This can be the straw that breaks the camel's back, the heat stroke, the loss of energy through overheating without cooling at nighttime. Another thing that's happening are pests are coming into New England. Um, as a kid, I could roam anywhere and not worry. Now there's ticks everywhere, and ticks carry various diseases. And so Lyme's disease and a number of other diseases have spread throughout New England. So those are two big health issues that are coming up, and we can adapt to stuff. So down in in Tennessee, when they have a Fourth of July celebration or something, they'll have misting tents. They'll have a cooling space. They might have ambulances around to take you. But in New England, we're not used to that, and so we're kind of caught flat-footed a little bit. But the good news is we can adapt to these changes while we try to stop them in the long term.
What do you think adaptation might look like here in New England?
Well, you've got sea level rise. That's one thing. So for coastal areas, that's a big concern. And with more energy in the environment, we've got stronger storms. So we need to adapt along our coastal infrastructure. We also have to adapt where, with rising sea levels, sea marshes can migrate because they're the beginning of the food chain for our marine environment. So things like that we can do. Also, another thing that's happening is because warm air can hold more moisture, there is more evaporation happening. It's got more energy in the air, it's got more room for water, It's like a big vacuum cleaner. You put a bigger bag on it, a bigger engine on it, and we're starting to see what we call flash droughts. This year, northern New England was hit really badly with a flash drought where people, their wells went dry for the first time. Lake Champlain was near record low. Last year, southern New England had a bunch of flash droughts with fire associated with it. And then on the other hand, when huge bag of when that air, when the moisture in the air does leave, it often creates floods. And I know Connecticut has had some serious floods, flash floods. We're going to see more flash drought and more flash floods. So we need to adapt to water saving techniques and we need to adapt to larger culverts. We can do it. But we need to know that this is coming and the science of it is very clear.
Yeah. Going back to the impacts, and you talked about pests and ticks. What can you talk a little bit more about the impact on ecosystems here in Connecticut, the environmental, social costs?
Yeah, so we are the ecosystems. We're having pests come into the ecosystems, right? The hemlocks have had quite a falling back in Connecticut. Also, another thing we're seeing that's happening is spring is happening earlier, and insects are going through their life cycle faster, and migratory birds, which are more on a celestial time scale rather than a temperature time scale, arrive, and their food is already moved on in its life cycle, and so we're seeing impacts on migratory birds not having the food that they would have before if that makes sense.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of federal cuts to funding for scientific research over the past year. How has all of this impacted your research?
Luckily, I don't rely on federal money. However, one thing that I love about the United States is government funded adventures. We put that data online for anybody to use freely. And so what's happening is some of the data sets, the federal government, for some reason, is making access to data sets either more difficult or non-existent. Reports, scientific reports that we rely on. One thing about science is we're transparent. We make everything available, and the more data, the more analyses available, the better off we are. And a lot of scientific reports on the federal government's website have been taken off. For some reason, there's someone who does not want us to have information about climate change.
And your work is all about tracking these changes. We can't adapt to changes we don't know are happening. We need to know that they're happening for us to adapt to them. Can you reflect on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I work with the House of Seven Gables up in Salem, and they have started to experience flooding, and they had no idea where exactly it was coming from. So, doing scientific research, it was discovered that not only is flooding happening from sea level rise, but a lot of heavier flooding in Salem, far away, was coming through the ground into their groundwater, and their basements were being flooded, where they were keeping valuable papers and the like. And so, through the study, they realized where the water was coming from, and there are ways to adapt the buildings to that flooding, both from the ocean and from the land.
And so finally, the rest of our show is focused on snow days. They're a big part
Yes.
of New England winters here. The history, culture, almost everyone remembers having them as a kid. But if there's less snowfall, there's potentially less snow days. What are like the social and cultural costs of that?
Yeah, there will be less snow days, that's for sure, as the snow disappears. However, I do believe we will still have snow days in the future. They may not happen every year, but they'll happen from time to time, like this year. And yeah, I grew up sledding, skating. That's where I made my friend group. My parents also it was a way of getting hurt and learning how to deal with it. It was a lot of, I felt like, personal growth, and so there's going to be less of that. Yeah, for sure. Spontaneity. That's what snow days are to me. All of a sudden, there's this free day in front of you. Let's go out and play in the snow, or that spontaneity, I think, will disappear without snow days. Yeah.
That's a really good point. Stephen Young is a professor emeritus at Salem State University. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Anna. Appreciate it.
From Connecticut.
Get out there and enjoy the snow.
I will. From Connecticut Public Radio, this is Where We Live. I'm Anya Pinello, in for Catherine Shen. We'll be back after a short break to talk more about the traditions and superstitions surrounding snow days. Stay with us. This is Where We Live from Connecticut Public Radio. I'm Anya Pinello. Today we're talking about snow and snow days here in Connecticut. Joining me now is Frankie Graziano. He's the host and producer of the Wheelhouse here on Connecticut Public. He's also a dad to two lovely kids who've probably been asking him about snow days all winter long. Hi, Frankie.
Good morning, Anya. Nice to talk to you this morning.
Oh, thank you. So you grew up here in Connecticut. What's your reaction to what we just heard from Stephen?
I did. You might call me a Mr. Connecticut. I think the only talent I have is that I've been here my whole life, and I know people in Connecticut. So I often talk to people about the snowfall, and naturally a lot of people want to talk about global warming, particularly after the big storms, right? Yeah. If we have like some bitter cold or a big storm, well, then people will, kind of get into that nuance where they're like, well, where's global warming now? But just off of what I heard from Stephen, I kind of went on the website there at the National Oceanic and Aeronautics and
Atmospheric Administration. I got you.
Yeah. See that, Onya? That's the map of the last 100 years or so. Do you notice how in Connecticut, this is January Connecticut temperatures.
Okay.
You see it going up and up and
Yeah.
up? That's NOAA. And NOAA is a place that journalists like to go for information on the weather, just to try to have some kind of backstop to show people that you have some kind of credibility when you're talking about these things. Now, naturally, that might change as things evolve because there's less funding going into NOAA now. A lot of people were talking about NIH cuts in the last year or so, and those are related to healthcare. But UConn lost NOAA money. A lot of other schools have in recent years. So it gets to the point of what you were talking about with Stephen earlier, which is, how do you treat climate change or something like that if you don't know about it? Well, we might not know about it as much as Stephen was talking about. So as being somebody who's been in Connecticut forever, I can tell you that the winters have gotten a lot warmer. As he was talking about the snowfall cover, I never thought about that, but that is, it's really illuminating to somebody like me who has noticed that snowstorms are fewer and farther in between, and it is warmer. For example, I remember 1996. That's what I always think about as a cold winter. Looking at that NOAA data, it's 10 degrees colder on average per day in January in 1996. Plus, you have maybe one of the top three biggest storms on record that January, that big storm that we had. So I just remember as a kid, it just being much colder and more snow.
Yeah. And then as a kid, did you get more snow days off school? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. So in Connecticut, I'm not sure how they do this in other states, but we have 5 snow days basically allotted to the calendar. So once you get more snow days, everybody knows this if you're a teacher or a student, or you're the parent and you're like, I want to go on vacation or I have these things planned. And if you get more snow days, then what happens is school starts to go later into the summer. So lately, we've been pretty much ending in decent order. We haven't been using a lot of snow days. I will say that because of things changing, a lot of things you hear as a parent and just talking to people anecdotally, because of buses and liabilities and things like that, they may be more likely to use a snow day for a couple inches of snow or something like that.
Yeah. And now as a parent, when you find out about a snow day, you get, I guess, a text or an email from the school.
It's so much easier than it used to be. There's a text. Obviously, there's radio silence if there is school and everything is as normal. But you get a text, you get an email. It used to be back in the day. I don't know if you all have this experience, but I would go to the local radio station and listen to it in the morning and have the TV turned on. I'd be trying to get the updates. And WZBG was in Litchfield. So I'm in Torrington growing up, and that's what I would listen to. And you'd wait to hear if your district was closed.
Yeah.
So sometimes you would see one school in a district or something like that that might be a little happier or a little more eager to jump and make the call. But then you wouldn't see the full school district. But once you saw Torrington Public Schools are closed, then you knew it was a snow day. But nowadays you just get the text.
Yeah. It's a lot less fun nowadays.
It's a lot less fun, but I'll tell you what, if you have a snow day, back to what you were talking about with the kids, it's fun. If you don't sometimes, and again, I'd rather sometimes not have snow days because then I have to stay home with the kids and it's a whole can of worms, but then we'll have fun with them. But just to say that when they don't have a snow day, then I have to get them up a little bit earlier to break the news so they can calm down before they go to school because otherwise they're going to be upset all day.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, wait, going back to when you were a kid, how did you spend your snow days when you had days off school?
I would spend my snow days rather excited that we didn't have school. And then I would wait a little bit, wait for it to warm up a little bit, and then we'd go sledding. And
Tell me about that.
In Torrington, we have something called West Torrington. It's just in the western part of town. And for those of you who might be initiated with the area, it's very close to where you get to 272 in Norfolk. And you go Route 4 towards Goshen Way, and there was a giant hill there, and we'd go all the way to the top of it. And my sister's boyfriend introduced me to WD-40, which, as you know, is supposed to help engines move, basically, and not have oil sludge and things like
or
that.
A squeaky door.
Squeaky door? Yeah, we would use WD-40 on the bottom of our giant tubes that we would have, and you would just rock it down. And it's fun. It's not fun, though, if you are walking up the hill and somebody rather prematurely goes down it and then...
Oh, dear.
Which I've had happen to me before.
Gosh. Yeah. Wow.
And it's worse when you see it happen to your kid. I've seen it happen to Charlie, too. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But we're all okay, I think, things considering.
Okay. Well, what are snow days like for you as a parent and seeing them do these kinds of things?
As a parent, it's just... it gives you pause because it's so... I have my normal duties as a parent when it snows. Like, I'll try to work and get as much of it I can done. I've got the best bosses, best colleagues here at Connecticut Public. So we pick each other up so that we can all do the things. And so I'll work for a little bit, but I'm really angling to get out there. And what I do is I snow blow, and then there's a little bit of shoveling in there. But as I'm doing this, Annie and Charlie are begging me all day while I'm in meetings or whatever, like, can we go outside? Can we go outside? Can we go outside? And there's a little bit of added practice to that, to where you have to dress them up, put them in snow pants, a couple layers of clothes. So you can't do all the things when you're working, but I'll try to get it all done early, get them out there. And then as I'm snow blowing, I'll see one of them run out, the other one wanting to go out and then maybe falling into a snow pile or something like that, and then wanting to run inside. Annie is all over the snow. She's almost like a dog in that regard, where you see like a dog. I don't know if your dog does this, but they're just kind of in there and almost being at one with the snow. And I have to watch out that I don't blow the snow in Annie's face. But nonetheless, she's always out there sort of with me, but sort of half with me, because she's just in such a great place, just in a childhood state of euphoria, I guess I would say.
Yeah. No, my dog is a little dog, so he is quite afraid of the snow.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll see the snow on the first day that the snow has fallen and just be shocked. And I open up the door and he just stops. and then he does all of his business in one go, and like he's done.
Yeah.
But he'll sometimes like hop around a little
No
bit.
stage fright. I love that for your dog.
Yeah.
Where are you on the whole dress your dog up, don't dress your dog up dynamic? That's becoming really prevalent in discourse.
He gets a sweater and paws. But that's,
I think my better question would be like, how much do they have to wear for it to be effective, I guess?
I was reading an article recently about what is the best way to keep your dog warm.
Yeah.
And apparently the fleece sweaters are not the way to do it, which is what I've been doing. You're meant to do sort of more like the coat that you would put on a horse.
Ooh.
Like a mini version of that is what you're meant to put on a dog. Then he gets these little rubber paws. They're red.
Yeah.
Everyone just talks about how cute they are on him, and they are, but I don't know.
Yeah, but don't just think about yourself out there, folks. Think about your pets in this extreme cold.
Yes. So we put out a call in social media asking people what they did during the most recent snowstorm. So we heard from Andrew. He shoveled and salted for 15 hours.
Andrew's out there making a living.
Yeah. Meteorologist Garrett Archianis said he cleaned off his car and his mom's car 3 times, in addition to reporting on the snow.
That's because Garrett's a good man.
Yes.
Not surprised by that. Shout out to gold level Garrett there.
Donna says her day consisted of shoveling, hugging a heating pad, shoveling again, and then having hot tea with a heating pad. And Valerie says she made 4 efforts to clean her driveway. How does all of this resonate with you?
Yeah, I'm just really taken back by Valerie having to go out there 4 times, because that's something some of us have to do just to kind of maintain, even though there's no time in the day whatsoever. All I was able to afford myself, because now Colleen is a successful businesswoman and running her business, Healthy Resolutions Telemedicine. But I'm watching the kids, also doing the work, and then taking care of them afterwards when she has her patients. So it's like the best time I had out there was just a couple hours. So I waited to strike at the end of the storm, and I was able to make it happen, but it necessitated me being more aggressive towards the snowbanks at the end of the driveway that occurred thanks to our friends, the snowplow man.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it wasn't too heavy, which was nice, because I've had it where it was all, first of all, we had some kind of mix, a wintry mix, and then there's all the de-icing agents from the plow truck, and it kind of gathers at the end of your driveway, and it's really hard to deal with. So I was just practicing this new technique I had in snow blowing, which was ram right through one section that you could get through. And then once you do that, it's almost like an ice sculpture where you're just sort of shaving the sides. Yeah. I can show you all one day. Onya doesn't live too far from where I am, so I'll have to show her. But there's a whole process where you're sort of going through it, and then you're shaving the sides so that it kind of collapses.
Oh.
And then you're going one more go. Sometimes you have to get a shovel in there.
Yeah.
I'm getting older and more out of shape, so I'm breathing harder and laboring more as I shovel.
So I moved here from Florida, and this was my first time shoveling my car out, and I was
Bless your heart.
Thank you. But I was panting almost. It's a lot of work.
You have to be ready for it too, because sometimes you go out or something like that. I remember when I was younger, I might go out or something like that, and then I'd come home to a snowstorm, and it's like, you might have whatever's in your car, or you might not have the gloves or the accoutrement to deal with it. And when you don't, all of a sudden you're wet.
Yes.
And good night. Good night, Irene. You're going to freeze.
So we heard some fun stories on social media, too. Reese Sant on Instagram says, this year we made ice cream outside. Took a metal bowl, filled it with condensed milk, heavy cream, berries, and vanilla, shook it up periodically when we went outside, and had it for dessert the next day.
I want to know if they put the final product on Instagram. Or it doesn't happen. There's just some great videos. Obviously, an opportunity for ASMR, too.
Yes. And then our chief content officer, Vanessa de la Tour, says, I love putting in birdseed the day before the storm. And as the snowflakes are drifting down, watching blue jays, cardinals, and other birds visit the bird feeder out my window.
VDLT, our resident birder here. I hope that Lola and Ruby are enjoying the winters as well with Vanessa there and the great bird watching.
Oh, I'm sure. From Connecticut Public Radio, this is Where We Live. I'm Anya Pinello. After the break, we speak with a professor about snow day superstitions, from flushing ice cubes down the toilet to putting spoons under the pillow. We'll ask why we do it and what it means. Stay with us. This is Where We Live from Connecticut Public Radio. I'm Anya Pinello, in for Catherine Shin. This hour, we're talking about snow days. Here in studio with us is Frankie Graziano. He's the host and producer of The Wheelhouse here on Connecticut Public, and a dad to two lovely kids. And joining us now is Elizabeth Tucker. She's a distinguished service professor of English at Binghamton University. Elizabeth, welcome to Where We Live.
Thank you so much for having me.
So this segment, we're focusing on snow day superstitions. Libby, let's start with you. Kids have all sorts of ways of conjuring up a snow day. Can you give us a couple of examples?
Sure. Up here in upstate New York, where I live, this happens a lot. When the forecast suggests snow is coming, kids may wear white socks, or they may wear their pajamas inside out and backwards to bed. One very popular one is putting a spoon under your pillow because it looks like a snow shovel, and maybe you shake a snow globe. But my favorite is taking ice cubes and flushing them down the toilet. And some people think that the number of ice cubes means the number of inches of snow you're going to get. So maybe last week somebody put about 12 ice cubes into the toilet, possibly, if that works.
Wow. Libby, did you do any of these as a kid?
No, I didn't, but I did do magical sorts of things. One time my sister and I fed a baby doll for a week and thought she'd come to life, and she didn't, but we really believed we were going to make it happen. Kids believe in magic, and they love power. They love to make things happen.
Yeah. I heard you talk to your students about these superstitions, and many of them still do these. Is that right?
They do, yes. Some of them absolutely believe that they work, and I've had some students who identify as Wiccan, and the Wiccan religion includes controlling the weather, so things can happen with that too.
Wow. Frankie, did you ever do any of these superstitions, or do your kids do them now?
I remember some of these superstitions and hearing about them. Back in the day, there was AOL Instant Messenger, and people would go on and they would set their away message like, "Hey, it's supposed to snow tomorrow. Do the situation where you take the spoon and you put it under the pillow." They would also call on people to do the rain dance, which is supposed to be a superstition to certain cultures, and obviously, as you were alluding to, with the Wiccans as well. I wouldn't do any of that because I was a toxic young boy that wouldn't do anything that anybody else was doing. But believe me, I was very superstitious. And my superstition a lot of times involves my religion because I was a Catholic boy, still am Catholic, but I just thought that you had to execute and be a good boy. It's like if Santa was watching you. Exactly, God's watching you. So if you're not a good boy, you're not going to get that snow day. Right. So I was just extra good that day. Oh, gosh. You had to wear the cross. You had to make sure that I had the rosary beads on my bed. So for whatever reason, my bed was protected. It was all in there, but nonetheless, we had to you had to pray that day. You had to make sure that you executed and did your thing. Otherwise, you weren't going to have that. God wasn't going to give you a snow day.
Oh, gosh.
That was my superstition.
Libby, where do you think these superstitions come from?
I think they come from quite far back in time. Back in the Middle Ages, people believed that scholars in medieval Europe, had the power to control the weather, to bring rain or to bring snowstorms. And so it's just a very old belief that if you do something in a certain way, you can make something happen. And it's related to sympathetic magic, the idea that like produces like. So, for example, if you flush ice cubes down the toilet, then you're going to make snowfall because you're putting something in that's going to get something out that's very much the same.
I like that, sort of speaking something into existence.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And how do these superstitions get passed down or passed around?
They tend to be passed down from older kids to younger kids. In the schoolyard, during recess, kids might mention it. They've heard snow is coming. They're hopeful they'll get a day off. And so hey, I know, you can put your pajamas inside out. And many people do this. I just talked to my students last week. They said they all grew up with this in upstate New York.
And going back to one of the ones I really liked was putting a spoon under your pillow, because so it looks like so is the idea it looks like a shovel and you have to shovel your snow? What's the idea there?
I'm not sure kids even think too much about it. It's just the idea, put a spoon under your pillow and the snow is going. Well, they know that spoons are used for scooping cold things like ice cream and slushies, and there's a resemblance to a snow shovel, but I'm not sure they put a whole lot of thought into it.
Mm,
Just do
Yeah, you
it.
just got to get that snow day.
yeah. And then and then pajamas inside out. How
Uh-huh.
does that translate, or what is that? What are they hope? I know it'll turn into a snow day, but how is my question, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's related to the idea of a ritual of reversal, so that if you do something in a certain way, you're going to turn around the pattern of what the day would usually be. So
Hmm.
instead of going in and sitting in a seat and listening to a teacher, you're going to be running around with your brothers and sisters, sledding and having fun and
Oh,
making cocoa. So you're reversing the whole pattern of your day.
I like that. And I guess the white crayon it's white for snow.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
white crayons, white, and sometimes you put on the windowsill so that the weather will get the right idea and snow will come.
And I imagine part of this has to do with kids wanting some sense of control. Like it makes them feel in control of whether or not they're going to have a snow day.
Exactly. Kids spend so much of their time doing what their parents and teachers tell them to do. And so doing something themselves that creates a major effect is very exciting. And when it works, it's just a wonderful feeling.
Now, some schools are moving school online instead of having a traditional snow day off school. What are your thoughts on that?
I have mixed feelings about it. I think that it's, of course, important to learn well in school, but on the other hand, I think kids do need time to be creative and spontaneous and to take a little break. So it's sad to think that snow days might die out because of online learning. We just had an online day last Monday instead of a snow day. So I think that trend is increasing, but and I understand, but it's kind of too bad if snow days become a thing of the past.
Yeah, Frankie, what do you think about this move from snow days to school online?
I just got very melancholy thinking about that. It makes sense. We were thinking about that a lot during COVID, about doing things in a hybrid environment. Although you want to find some time for play in that, you would hope that they would try to, similar to what we do, right? We're hearing this a lot with workers, right? Where it's like, once it snows, it's like, oh, it's just a remote day. Like I'm not going to the office, but now I have capability to do that. And I'm imagining that's happening with kids. Obviously, that's happening in New York, as we just heard. But you wonder if there's more opportunities for some free time in there, and you hope they'll get that in there because that play is so important. And when you're not available to learn, that's something we hear a lot in the community of parents with children with emotional and developmental and disabilities. We hear a lot about availability to learn.
Right.
That's very important. And if you're thinking about the snowstorm and you want to get out there and have a good time,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to learn. So they're going to have to figure that out for kids.
That's a really good point. Libby, you said when you were a student at Mount Holyoke, there was something called Mountain Day, a different type of day off. Can you tell us about that and how that feels different than a traditional snow day?
Yes, I'd love to. Mount Holyoke was a very important day for Mountain Day was a very important day at Mount Holyoke because that was the day that all classes were canceled and we were told to go make sandwiches and go climb a mountain. And it was just so wonderful, but very different from snow day magic because the snow day kids try to influence what's going to happen. They put the spoon under the pillow, they flush the ice cubes, and they're doing it themselves. They're using their power. At Mount Holyoke, we were just waiting for the authority to tell us there was a day off. And of course, that was great, but we weren't making it happen. We were just hopeful.
Yeah, and you study folklore and the supernatural. Here in Connecticut, we're getting so much snow right now, or we've had so much snow recently. I know this is a big topic, but what is the role of snow in folklore?
Well, snow has a very complicated role in folklore. I was just thinking about some of the old folk tales, such as Hans Christian Andersen's The Snow Queen, about the queen, the evil queen in the heart of a frozen well. There's a lot of Scandinavian folklore about snow, about the things that happen when it's very cold out. And so most of it comes from Northern Europe, and some of it survives here. I think we see snow as and also the idea of a snow child who comes to life after being made out of snow by an older couple who can't have a child of their own.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Do you know if we've been talking about snow day superstitions. Are there superstitions for other kinds of days off?
Interesting question. I would say not so much. I don't really know of any customs to make it rain. Of course, in this country, there's the longstanding tradition of Native American tribes doing rain dances to bring rain. But among kids, I don't really know of any customs to bring other kinds of weather.
Yeah. What did you have any snow day traditions when you were growing up or with your own family?
Not exactly. I grew up in Washington, D.C. It was a little warmer there. We didn't get quite as much snow. But I know we loved playing in the snow. And when we could go outside and play in the snow instead of going to school, it was wonderful. It was just the most exciting feeling.
Did you
But
have
we
the
had to get
cherry
all bundled up.
blossoms down there when you were a kid at that
Oh,
point?
yeah, they were
You get cherry
beautiful.
blossom season in
Yeah.
D.C.
Yeah. I grew up in
Loved it.
Virginia, and I think we had like one snow day in my entire childhood.
Oh, wow.
But there
Oh,
were also
my.
cherry blossoms. Going back to snow and folklore, do we know like the origins of like snow angels, snowmen, snowball fights?
Yeah, with folklore, it's a little bit hard to know exactly how some of these things originated, but I would guess that as long as kids have been out in snow, they've been making snowballs and kind of throwing them at each other. Snow angels, I'd say, are related to the Christian religion.
Yeah.
That kids who grow up believing in angels like to learn to just lie down in the snow and say, "Look, I can make an angel." I made them when I was a kid. I loved doing that.
Oh, yeah, I like them too. I did a couple of them recently. Now, Frankie, I know that you've got this sledding background.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people sledding by themselves and also sledding maybe with their kids?
Be very careful about other kids sledding, obviously. It's fun to go in a group. You want to do that, but my kids are little, so I'm trying to go to a place in town. I won't say because I need to keep it sort of private for when I'm with the kids because they move very slowly and they can't get up the hill quick enough for another kid to come down and they'll get hit. So
yeah.
it's a whole thing. So I would say that if you're really athletic, if your child's very athletic and they can get out there and they can move quickly, get out there in groups. That's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But if not, then just be aware that there's going to be other people out there. But there's a couple of places in town. I like to go to a place that's a little more private in that regard and just have a good time out there. I just bought a toboggan the other day for $67, this
Yeah?
giant plastic toboggan. And while that might suck to do something like that in this economy, you got to get out there and have a good time with your kids, the best that you can be. And man, sledding with the kids has brought something back in me I didn't even know I had. So it's been a good time.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what's in store for the rest of this winter, but if it includes more snow days, what advice do you two have for making the most of snow days? And Libby, we'll start with you.
Oh, I'd say that on a snow day, it can be nice to sleep a little later if you don't usually get the chance to do that. And then just do something delightful, make a hot drink, go outside, enjoy the snow. And even if you're older, take a walk, make a little snowman, put a carrot in the nose. It's fun.
Yeah. And Libby, are you at your university, are you dealing with students who are encountering snow for the first time? People who are maybe not from New York?
Some of them, yeah, we have students who come from Asia, for example, where snow is something new. Many of them are from New York and New Jersey, but we have students from all over the country and overseas.
Wow. And how do they react to the snow?
They're usually excited, but a little chilly. Take some time to get used to it.
Yeah. And Frankie, what's your advice to make how to make the most out of a snow day if we get any more?
If you believe in national superstition in America where the animals predict the weather, we will have more snow days because in 2026 on February 2nd, as is every year, Punxsutawney Phil in Pennsylvania said that there was going to be 6 more weeks of snow. Did he tell us that verbally? No, he saw a shadow, so that's a sign. And in Connecticut, there's Chuckles, who goes to Lutz Children Museum. Don't ask me too many questions about Chuckles because I only have a little bit of a background. But according to Manchester Mayor Jay Moran, he saw his shadow as well. Not Jay Moran, Chuckles saw his shadow, and there will be 6 more weeks of snow. So if you get more snow, enjoy it with your family. Get your time to get your work in or whatever, but get that time in after, like what Libby said, sleep in. Yeah, get that done.
Yes.
Make sure that you sleep in, get some time to work, and then go full bore with the kids.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily do the WD-40 because then you're going to say Frankie told you to do it, and then you'll have a Chevy Chase situation like in Christmas
dear.
Vacation where he starts at the top of the mountain and ends up all the way in the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah. Libby, Groundhog Day, do we know where that superstition or tradition comes from?
Well, it seems to have originated in this country, but there also are somewhat similar ceremonies in Europe. Not exactly the same, but the groundhog ceremony, I think, is an American ritual, and it's very important to people. I love the movie Groundhog Day, where the same thing starts every day over again, and it's a kind of magic that I think people are partly ready for because winter is so cold and can be so quiet. We need these things then.
Yeah. And last question, Frankie, I know you have some favorite snow day foods. Can you tell me about those?
Just like Libby was talking about, where you just need to feel it. You need to get comfortable in this time of year. You need to almost warm up your soul and warm up your body. Whether that's parents want to take up different things where they're trying to get their families to learn how to ski. That's something we're going to do at some point. Not there yet. So what I'll do now, a lot of people talk about the snow day, but there's also the day where it actually snows. Sometimes if you have a storm over multiple days.
Yeah.
So in that time, you can't go out. You can't be driving out there. So you have to make food inside. I'm somebody who likes to grill and barbecue. Can't necessarily do that inside. So I will make a nice hearty stew. And that's going to be some potatoes that we're going to cut down there and peel. We're going to get some carrots and celery and some good chuck roast there, steak, and go to town on it and put it in the crock pot.
And Libby, do you have any favorite snow day food?
I do. I like to make a big cheesy quiche, and a couple of times my whole neighborhood got together for a snow day potluck dinner, and I made a quiche, and they all liked it.
Oh, that's so nice.
I want to move to her neighborhood.
I know.
Snow day potluck. I like that.
We want to thank our guest today, Frankie Graziano, hosts and produces The Wheelhouse here on Connecticut Public. And Elizabeth Tucker is a Distinguished Service Professor of English at Binghamton University. I'm Anya Pinillo. Today's show is produced by Lily Tyson with support from Tess Terrible. Our technical producer is Dylan Reyes. You can download Where We Live anytime on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening and enjoy the snow.